Hello, and welcome back to Of the People. I'm Robert Chernin.
With Ericka Redic.
And we are back. That was a heck of a segment, Ericka.
Oh my God, Robert! I just had to say it. You know, the kids, anything to do with children and the abuse or or just not being good to children automatically gets me hot. And when I think about the fact that our education system is literally not teaching them to read anymore,
failing our kids.
They failing, right. and they are not teaching them to read cursive anymore, which literally
read
all
cursive.
Of our
they're not teaching them to write cursive.
They're not writing cursive, but with that they can't read cursive. So that literally means
Ericka, they can't read. Forget about cursive. They can't read.
I know, but all of our founding documents. Think about this, Robert. All of our founding documents and all of the historical documents are written in cursive, not printing. So not only are they making them dumber in many ways, they're not even going to be able to understand their history. It's going to be like a different written language to them.
Wait a minute, Ericka. This is with intent. If you're trying to change the country, transform the country into something different, right? You break down all the old customs, all the old rules. If you don't teach people how to read, then how can they read the old documents to know what's there?
Literally,
right?
They are destroying this country.
To me, it's with intent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're talking about movie references. There's an old movie called The Time Machine with Rod Taylor. And it was a 4:30 movie, and he develops a time machine in England, and he goes forward, 20,000 years. And then there's the Eloi and the Murlocs. I won't get into that, but the Eloi who live above the ground lost the ability to read. They have all these discs that tell them about history, but they've lost the ability to read, and they become this sort of feckless, unable to take care of themselves culture, right? And they're also food for the Morlocks, right? We're not quite at cannibalism yet, but what do you think's going on here? There's a reason. Look, I want to keep the black community.
Why does that feel prophetic?
Wait a minute. I want to keep the black community on the plantation. I don't, but right. If I want to keep the black community on the plantation, don't teach them how to read. Don't teach them how to get educated, and don't teach them how to raise themselves up, because then they're going to stay there.
Oh my God.
We don't teach civics in school. We don't teach civics in school. We don't teach our history. We don't teach our founding documents. There used to at least be something called social studies, which was sort of the watered down version of civics.
Yes.
Do you not think this is with intent?
Oh my God.
Don't teach them how to read. Therefore, they won't know what documents they're supposed to live under. They'll do what we tell them.
The administrative agency. This is why, again, we gotta get rid of the federal agencies. The agency literally charged with educating the next generations is actually literally destroying them. Literally.
And you're surprised by this. How? Listen, I want to segue because I promised everybody I want to talk about illegal immigration. And we're talking about kids, but I want to talk about an aspect that people don't really talk about. There's how many hundreds and millions of people have crossed the border. I think that they've caught like 2.2 million, and they've missed more than that. And don't quote me on the numbers, but the numbers are massive with Title 42 and ending and all of that.
Yeah.
But what's often overlooked in this, and we're back to the children, is the child trafficking aspect. I mean, this is big business. Child trafficking, mostly for sex, but, for sex trafficking, but, for other, for working and everything else, is at a record pace. I want to say in 2020, I think we were down to and they're called, by the way, they have these lovely acronyms, UAC. Do you know what a UAC is?
Unaccompanied child?
You got it. Unaccompanied alien. Unaccompanied alien child.
Okay.
2020, there were about 35,000. Don't quote me on the numbers. I have it somewhere. There is 200 and in 2022, that number has risen to 200. Let me get my number. It's 33,000 in 2020, 152,000 in 2022. And 70% of the kids that cross the border as UAC are 50, because to be a minor, right, you have to be under 18, but 70% of them are over 15. And they come in And then they get through this whole process, and then they get put with these surrogates, or they get put with these responsible parties, and then we lose track of them. The Biden administration has lost track. I want to say the numbers of 87,000 children.
Yep.
So on the one hand, we want to keep blacks in the inner city because they're one of our voting bases, and we don't want to educate them. And then we want to bring in, through this drug cartel trafficking network, all these children into the country that we don't. I mean, you know what the common denominator is here? It's what you said before.
The Biden administration?
But no, it's what you said before. They don't care about the children. The children are pawns.
This is the thing that is when you look at the numbers of the dollar value of those children that have gone missing. And to me, just to be really frank with you, Robert, given the fact that the United States is not only the number one, we're the number one. We're always in the top 3 of consumers of relations with.
No, come on.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say. I don't know. In all sincerity,
if we have to bleep you, I will.
Just bleeped.
Go for it.
So, of sex with children. So
pedophilia. You're talking about pedophilia.
Pedophilia.
You can say pedophilia.
Pedophilia is, and Texas is actually this number 1 state in the union for sex tourism with children. So if you're a pedophile, the number 1 state in the union to go visit is Texas. So of course it makes sense to let 85,000 unaccompanied minors go missing while they're crossing the border to the tunes billions of dollars. I believe the numbers. This is staggering. I don't want to get nerdy with numbers, you guys,
the numbers are accurate.
I don't want to lose people.
Wait a minute. There was a whistleblower who just testified before the House that basically says the U.S. government is, quote unquote, a middleman in a multi-billion-dollar migrant child trafficking operation. Now, I'm not sure that means that the U.S. government is knowingly doing that, but the incompetence and inefficiency and the politics of it. Right? Because let's keep the blacks in the inner city because we need them to vote for us in those blue states. Let's bring in all these, these multi-billion-dollar industry of children, unaccompanied alien children. We lose track of them. There's a whole flow of that money. Ultimately, they will be voters, and they will be voters on the Democratic plantation, because where do you think these kids are going to go? They're also going to go to the inner city because it has the services and it has everything that they're going to need to eke by an existence. They're not going to get educated, right?
No. Well, and most of them will die within 2 to 5 years. If one of these, any of these, that is a statistic.
Wow,
if you are
I
a
didn't know
child,
that. I did not know that.
If you are a child that gets trafficked, your lifespan is only about 2 to 5 years. At which time, and this is stuff that people do not want to talk about. This is the dirty truth. Everybody needs to go to angelstudios.com, I think it is, or Fandango or wherever. There's a movie coming out about a man. It's called Sound of Freedom. It is coming out July 4th. It is in theaters. Is it Tim Barrows? Give me his name to make sure I get it right. Real life guy who rescues children from trafficking. Okay. The movie comes out next week. Everyone needs to go see this. So these children are being trafficked. They only live, if they're lucky, 2 to 5 years, at which time they are, if it's still useful and available, they are then, their organs are then being harvested and they're killed. These children are literally cattle to these traffickers.
So there is nothing that demonstrates the moral bankruptcy to me in this country, the abuse to children. I mean, adults cross the border. The immigration system is broken. We know about that. And I'm sorry, folks, if 30 people are invading my house, it's an invasion. If,
That's right.
How many, millions are invading our country and coming across illegally. I mean, you can immigrate, do it legally. Right? That the country was built on that. So I am not anti-immigrant. I'm sure I'll be labeled as xenophobic, racist, and all that other crap.
No.
But
No.
I'm not anti-immigration. I mean, my great-grandparents immigrated from Eastern Europe. I get that, right? It's the great melting pot. But come legally, right?
That's right.
The children, the moral bankruptcy that really indicates is mind-boggling to me, right? So
really,
I want to go back to this woman, though. So the woman,
okay.
she's, and by the way, there's all these acronyms. There's CBP.
Okay, hold on. Tim Ballard. So everybody watching the movie, it is based on a true. It is a documentary, or it's based on a documentary. This is a real person, real life, Nazarene Ministries or something like that. Tim Ballard. Everybody needs to go see it.
So, Ericka, let's put that up on your website. Tell them where they're going.
GenerallyIrritable.com.
Okay, so she's gonna post that on her website. So rather than have to do it in crunch time when we're on air,
yep.
Post it, because this is important stuff. I mean, the immigration issue is one thing, but the child trafficking and the sex trafficking is such an issue of moral turpitude that it boggles my mind. So, there's a lot of acronyms here, right? CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, HHS gets involved, Health and Human Services, DHS, but then there's ORR, right? So, and ORR is the Office of Refugee Resettlement. I mean, so the kids get caught in this whole system, right? So this woman, and I want to get her name right, with the Biden administration, Rodas, R-O-D-A-S. So she testifies before Congress the following. She said, "I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with being recruited in their home country, smuggled into the U.S., and ends with ORR delivering a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminal and are traffickers and members of a transnational criminal organization, and most children are just assets and are used for earning income. This is why we are witnessing an explosion of labor trafficking, folks."
That's right.
This is, we can fight about a lot of things in this country, right? But we're supposed to take care of those people who couldn't fight for themselves. We're supposed to take care of the children, whether it's children who are here legally or illegally. And we can talk about whether they should stay or go, but we have a moral obligation to tackle this issue head on, and shame on both parties for not tackling this issue. It is unforgivable and incorrigible to me.
We have more slaves now than we ever did during the transnational slave trade. The market in the United States alone, I believe, is $150 billion. So this is whether it's sex trafficking, human trafficking, whatever it is, $150 billion. So what these criminal organizations have figured out is they can make more money selling human beings, because these human beings can be sold over and over and over again, rather than just once to some junkie who's going to die on the street anyway.
And understand, folks, that this starts in their home country. And these people come to the border. I mean, you read up on it. They come to the border. They'll have a name and a phone number, may or may not. And it doesn't mean, by the way, they come alone. They usually come in groups, right?
That's right.
So it's not like this one little kid comes to the border by himself. They are cultivated in foreign countries. They are brought to the border. They are taught. And by the way, most of the time, they're met by some progressive, far left legal service that thinks that they're doing. I don't know what they think they're doing, but they just think they're adding voters, I guess, future voters.
I really believe in my heart, and I hope that if Republicans are worth their salt at all, they will bring human rights violations charges against the Biden administration and everyone involved in these decisions. They need to absolutely be prosecuted as criminals.
Never, Ericka.
It is. Oh my God!
I feel what you feel. That will never happen.
This is
Hunter Biden.
Genocide.
Excuse me. Hunter Biden got away with crimes that you and I would probably be in jail for 25 years, right? Just got away.
And that
there are not just two. There are multiple standards of law enforcement. There is no way. And most people, let's be honest, it's out of sight, out of mind. You live behind your gated homes in LA or wherever you live. Yep. You preach that, I'm for inclusion in the little guy. And yet you allow this to happen to the children.
What's more racist? Okay. What demonstrates racism more? A president and an administration that fights human trafficking, the trafficking of black and brown bodies,
right?
Or the administration who has policies that allow them to be violated and had human rights atrocities committed against them. Which one sounds more racist to our listeners and our viewers? I would love for you to comment, send us an email. Which one sounds more racist to you? The ones who let black and brown people be harmed, or the one who prevents them from being harmed? I'm just curious.
I get it. Look, the problem is that, again, divide and conquer. People are so consumed with living their own lives, as they should be, earning a living, taking care of their family, and now we're all fighting each other because we're divided into these little, boxes where, I'm against you and you're against me, and no one helps each other anyways, right? Because that whole neighborly thing about helping your neighbor, gone.
Nope.
Right?
Out the window.
All of that is gone. So, of course, this stuff can just happen because it is morally repugnant to me. But I understand why it goes under the radar. Not because it should, but because people don't have the time, intentionally are forced to not have the time. And you've got to start with your home, right? You've got to start with your family. You've got to start with taking care of that, right? That's the issue. But look, folks, there's a whole lot more to this. We've just scratched the surface, but I wanted to just highlight, and I know, Ericka, it's a passion point for you. I know it's a passion point for me. This is about the kids, because I'll tell you something. To me, anyone who sexually abuses a young child, so the solution for me is simple, and we'll end on a high note. The solution for me is simple. You get these people who are the offenders, you cut off their you sew them in their mouth, and you throw them off a boat into deep water. It's really simple to me, folks, okay? This is morally repugnant, and we wanted to highlight it because, sorry to end on such a serious note, but this is a serious topic. We wanted to highlight it because it's not just about illegal immigration. It's about the children.
That's right.
Folks, you have been listening to Robert Chernin and
Ericka Redic.
The lovely Ericka Redic, who was more than generally irritable today.
Oh my God.
You can find me at Robert at Coalition4, the number 4, America.com. And you can find Ericka at Ericka, ERICA at generallyirritable.com. Did I get that right?
So the email address is just generallyirritable@gmail.com.
All right, I got it wrong. Leave it to me to screw up the email at the end. Folks, thanks for staying with us. We'll see you next week. Take care.